we started recording this one. So we had been describing mostly, it's a fag end of the almost the end 4, 5 shlokas of meditation and mantras, Dhyanam. We all know that why Dhyanam is necessary. Unless for anything and everything, Dhyanam is not there, we will not be in a position to continue with anything in our life. For everything, it is Dhyanam. For anything and everything, it is Dhyanam. So meditation, meditate. The buddhi has to be synchronized with the antaratma. Bodham or buddhi has to be synchronized with bodham. Buddhi has to be synchronized with the higher consciousness. The higher consciousness is that which is called Brahman. That's why Upanishad said that association with the Brahman, connecting yourself to the Brahman, absolutely necessary. Many people may ask today, that which is not seen, which is not felt, which cannot be experienced, which cannot be useful for me in our day-to-day life. And these are the questions normally asked. Why should we be believing in Brahman? Last class also we have described a little bit about that. Why should I be believing on the Brahman? You don't have to believe it. You have to be the Brahman, that's all. Because you are the Brahman. You are the true nature of the Brahman. You to be in your true nature. That is the ultimate purpose of our life. Our living itself is meant for that. Swami Chinmayananda once said that, why is detachment and self-control necessary? Swamiji was telling that. So he said one word was there, I do not want to go through the whole thing. We are foreigners to our own spiritual tranquility, is what he said. We are foreigners to our own spiritual tranquility. The tranquility, the spiritual tranquility that is there in us, we are not introduced or we are not familiar with that. We are still far away from that. We are foreigners to that, is what he meant. Why is that spiritual tranquility is not necessary? The tranquility itself is spiritual. Well, we can temporary tranquilities. I don't know whether I can make it plural. No, I don't know. The physical or the materialistic tranquility is what we call as satisfaction or satisfaction from the achievements and attractions and things like that. They are not tranquility. The tranquility is known as only for the mind. Why? Because that which is disturbed only can acquire the tranquility. What is disturbed? That which is disturbed only can be brought into the tranquility. That what is disturbed in us is nothing but mind. What is disturbing us all the time? It is only the mind which is disturbing us all the time. The sharira also, the body, the physical body is also associated with the mind, and it's the mind which controls a healthy body. Somebody said a healthy body contains the healthy mind. Where is the beginning of it? It's always the mind. The tranquility has to be there. The mind has to be bring into tranquil, the status of tranquility. That means stillness of the mind. The stillness of the mind is absolutely necessary. The stillness is that without the waves of the thoughts, waves of disturbances. The disturbances are causing us only because of our association, our attachments with the materialistic world, attachments with the events that is happening outside us or external to us, the events that we can see with our own external eyes. We get attracted to it, attached to it, and our mind is constantly being involved into those activities. So automatically what happens? The mind is always agitated. When the mind is totally agitated, it is not tranquil. It is not tranquil. That's why Swamiji specifically said that the spiritual tranquility, the spiritual tranquility is that what is necessary. In order to do that, what is possible, how it is to be done, not by educating yourself with certain subjects or living number of lives. We have all been probably living number of lives, have experienced so much of materialistic life. Why we could not bring ourselves into the tranquility? So there I found, when we contemplate on that, I find that we are all trying to, in Vedantically speaking, whether one knows, one is conscious about it or not conscious about it, we are all trying to attain vairagya in our. Each and every activity of ours is what we are trying to reach the status of vairagya. Unless that vairagya, attachment towards the external world to us, is has come to us, we will not be in a position to attain tranquility for our spiritual mind. In order to bring our spiritual mind tranquil, we will have to attain the status of vairagya. The status of vairagya, you have heard about the Dashavatara, Mahavishnu's Dashavatara, starting from the Matsya Avatara, Matsya Kurva Varahadi. Each avatara, when it is transformed into the other, it has attained the vairagya of the previous one. In our life also, from each and every activity or each and every karma, why we are executing these karmas are, we are trying to attain the vairagya. When we attain when we complete certain desires or certain attachments, we attain that vairagya. We have to attain that vairagya. We should reach that vairagya. Each and every activity, each and every karma, once we finish, like starting from the balya to kaumara, vardhakya, things like that, when we change our status, we automatically have gained the vairagya of the previous status. So each and every status, whenever we are changing, we are reaching to the other, we have to attain the vairagya. We are not creating, we are attaining the vairagya. This attainment of vairagya consciously being done, attainment of vairagya, we are aware of it and totally gets detached from the previous attachments. Automatically, we ultimately reach the total vairagya. As I told you, each and every janma, we are being born in order to attain vairagya. In order to attain vairagya from the birth, in order to attain vairagya from the childhood, in order to attain vairagya from the kaumara, in order to attain vairagya from the vardhakya, each and every status we have to gain the vairagya. Each and every activity, from each and every subject, each and every activity, even from vairagya from bhakti, vairagya from jnanam, and at last, ultimately, vairagya from jnanam comes. A yogi who is nitya brahmachari and who attains the absolute Brahman while he is living in himself. At that position also, he attains the total vairagya, even to have, as I think I described this number of times in our classes, but I repeat, being the final concluding session of this, because he's talking about the mind and tranquility of mind, we would like to remind you of the tranquility of mind. The total tranquility of mind we have to bring. It is in us. When we detach ourselves, when we have detachment, then we gain the self-control. The self-control is nothing but bringing the tranquility to the mind and attainment of that Brahmatattvam, Brahmajnanam towards the mind. The mind alone, according to the shlokas, what he has mentioned here, the mind alone cannot find out the mind at one point. The mind alone cannot find out the mind. The mind has to be ultimately what happened, to be linked with the Brahmatattvam, Brahmajnanam, or the Brahman. For that, the purpose, the mind, the functions of the mind has to be ceased, even though the mind as a faculty might be there, it will be there. As somebody said, it's again the mind which is getting attracted towards the Parabrahman also. Quite possible. But that is called not as an attraction, but it is called as a merging with this. The merging of the Antaratma, the merging of the mind has to be attained towards the Brahman, is called the Brahma Sakshatkaram, or the attainment of the completeness. We have to be attained, we have to be complete. We are incomplete in most of the ways or almost all the ways, except the physical, what's that, Bhautika Jivan, that is materialistic life. In all other aspects, even in this aspect also, even in the materialist life, we are incomplete. Every day we are struggling. We say we are struggling. So the attainment of vairagya, as I told you, from the previous status to the other status. Today, what we are trying to do is that we are only trying to please our physical body in 100%. Let it be eating your food, let it be taking medicines, let it be buying clothes, let it be living in places, some places, live or whatever activities you are doing. All the activities you can just analyze yourself. They are all meant for your own physical body. Nothing is meant for the development of the inner self of you or becoming conscious about the, or your mind is not conscious attain to trying to attain the Parabrahman or the super consciousness or the higher consciousness. The purpose of our life itself is that. That is why when we have, at least initially, we try Dhyanam. Here, when I'm talking about Dhyanam, at least sometimes in our day, initially starting with, to begin with, some time of our day should be kept aside as much as possible, depending upon your karmas that you are executing. You have to keep aside for detachment from the materialistic world and attachment to your nature, attachment to your own self, attachment to your own higher consciousness. This is absolutely necessary. If you do not spare this much of time for the dhyanam, we will not be in a position to attain the tranquility of the mind, or we will not be in a position to attain the Brahman that is within us. As we explained about the karmas and the experiences that we are transmitting from the Kundalini to the static energy that is called the Sahasra Chakra or to the consciousness, these experiences which are converted into the consciousness or the experiences of consciousness which goes into the subtle body, which again analyzed by the Karana Sharira and the Sukshma Sharira and Sthula Sharira, ultimately we gain, transform them into our own necessity of rebirth or not. This necessities of rebirth or not is all based on the samskara of the previous janma. The samskara of the previous janma is that experiencing the previous janma, the experience of the previous janma. The experiencing is absolutely necessary. Unless the past is there, we will not be trying to do anything in the present. So all our present is based on the past. The present is based on the past, same way the future will be based on that. We learned about this in our Upanishads earlier, that prarabdha karma, sancheta karma, and agami karma. They are all interlinked. So from the past samskara, we gain the samskara. We have gained the samskara. So we try to understand this and then we improvise our samskara in this Janma, then attain the absolute consciousness that is prevalent in us, that we have born. The purpose of the birth is only to gain the attainment of the higher consciousness in our life. The one who knows this, the one who has known about this, he only will be in a position to identify the difference between the Atma and the Mana. We have to ultimately identify the Atma, or which is known as the Brahman in as per Vedanta. In sometime in Mahabharata, especially in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan was telling Arjuna, in order to how to attain, how do we do our prayers, how do we do our dhyanam, how we should be conscious about this. He says that yada mam prapantyande tada mam prajamyaham. Yada mam prapadyante tada mam prajamyaham. Ekoham dvitiyo nasti. That is yada mam prapadyante. Yada mam prapantyante. The way you are thinking about me, you will attain me. You will be seeing me. That is why we are all seeing Bhagwan according to our own choice. Each one has got a liberty to see the Ishvara, the God, God's picture in one's own choice, is because that Yadamam Prapantyante. Ishvara doesn't have a fixed form and shape because it is Anadi, Ananta, and it is not, doesn't have any form or shape or smell or whatever it is. They are, this is why it is known as the Gunatita. So for a person who would like to experience Ishvara, initially he has to go through the Sakama Bhakti. The Sakama Bhakti is through the requirements you have, intentions you have, modifications in your life you want. All these called as Sakama Bhakti. Through this Sakama Bhakti, so you want somebody to listen to you. So you cannot be talking to something which is Nirakara. No, Ishvara is supposed to be Nirakara. It is not the Nirak. We cannot speak to the Nirakaratum. So what happens? We will have to create a form. So he says, Ishvara said, the higher consciousness doesn't have any shape and form. Yadomam prapadyante. Any shape and form that you think is me. That's all. So Ishvara's form and shape has been created by the human being in order to reach that Nirakaratum. There are no different shapes and forms. That Nirakaratum you have to attain. Now, through the process of Nishkama Bhakti, in order to attain the Nishkama Bhakti, we practically throughout our life, we are living in Dvaita Siddhanta, not in Advaita Siddhanta. Living through the Dvaita Siddhanta, only we can attain the Advaita Siddhanta. Through Sakama Bhakti, only we can attain the Nishkama Bhakti. As I told you, each and every time you pray to the Lord, you have a Sakama Bhakti. Through this, you experience at a point of time the vairagya. That which you have asked 10 years before, you are no more asking for that now. What you are asking now, you will not be asking after 10 years. Why, you have already reached the vairagya of the previous. Each time you are changing yourself, each time you are continuing your life, the vairagya from the previous, you have attained the vairagya from the previous. This vairaga has to happen. Raga is that attachment. Raga is that association, attachment, through your desires, through whatever it is. These attachments, even to the Bhagwan, the attachment ultimately, when you pray intensely, the attachment to the Bhagwan also vanishes. We have to undergo this process. During the Bhautika Jivan, we have all these experiences of kashta, dukkha, and experiences of attachment and detachment. That's why Swamiji said you have to practice detachment in attachment. The true attachment is the true attachment is detachment. No, it is play of the words you must be thinking. No, it's true attachment. What is a true attachment? That wishing something good to someone or wishing somebody of our own. In order to have wishing somebody of our own or something of our own, this attachment, when it becomes the intense, our thought becomes intense, we normally use the words also that look, it has become one with me. My character has become, this has become my character and it has become one with me. This, nobody can change it. The one with me is that we attain ultimately. This is called the detachment. The attachment is nothing but detachment. Through detachment only, you should understand one more fact. Through detachment only, you can really understand the attachment. Through detachment only, you can experience the attachment. What is the attachment? Through detachment. Detachment in the sense, detachment or attachment, they both are, when it is converted in our way of living, they are emotional, they are bhautika, they are materialistic. Whereas the detachment, living in detachment is spiritual. In spirituality, everything is attached. When everything is attached, it is detachment. There is no more, no nothing more to be attached to is a detachment. You don't feel specifically attached to something. When we have identification, specifically attachment to something, then only we say it is an attachment. When we specifically getting attached to something, then we call it as an attachment. When we attach ourselves to the totality of the absolute, the total, the Brahman itself, then we don't call it as an attachment. This is called a detachment, the way of detachment. We all have to create this vairagya to us. If we do not create this vairagya from each and every activity that you are doing, if you are keeping yourself attached to the activities you had been doing, you are doing, and you will be doing, we will have no more space in our mind in order to further promote ourselves or progress ourselves. We will have to detach from the previous. As I always said that in order to put one step ahead, the previous step has to be forgotten. Then only you can move while walking. When you walk, the one step you put forward, the step at the back has to be forgotten and put your next step forward. The life is not meant for just wasting, getting into the involving ourselves into materialistic jivan. Bhautika jivan is necessary because we have got a body, we have got a mind, we have got certain karmas to be fulfilled. To that extent, we can definitely get ourselves attached to the Bhautika Jivan, no doubt about it. As I told you, even a brahmachari or a sannyasi also lives a Bhautika Jivan. He also eats, he drinks, everything. He sleeps, he walks, everything. That has to be done. What we are talking here is that about the purification of mind and attachment to the Parabrahman at last. Your intention should be to have vairagya to whatever you are doing. Each and every day's activity. If a student is passing out of class 9 to class 10, or from in a university from one grade to the other, from one status to the other, he has to forget the previous one. Otherwise, he will not be in a position to live in the present one. So the previous class, no, 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 no. I have been liking my class 9 very much because I had good friends. My teacher was good. In class 10, the teacher is very strict. I don't like and things like that. Then it is a big problem, is it not? He gets attached to class 9 only. The progress doesn't happen. There has to be, we have to create a vairagya to the previous one. We have to create a vairagya to the yesterday in order to be here today. Create that this vairagya, we should not. get entangled with that. So whatever has happened. So somebody said that the present, live in the present. There are so many words, so many phrases people have created out of that. See. So what happens is that we have to create the total gist of this is that we have to create vairagya to our life, our living. Each and every step we should, then only we can have the progress. If we do not have the progress, we will not be in a position to attain the progress at all. If we do not have the vairagya, if we don't detach ourselves, we will not be able to progress ourselves. Therefore, the Maharishi says that each and every step of ours, each and every activity of ours is the experiencing that is done should be detached, and we should reach to the status of the vairagya, and then only the realization of the self and identification with the Parabrahman can be attained. Here in this shloka, in the next shloka, which is shloka 23rd of, he says, Drishta dishyo paraktam chittam sarvartham. He said, the mind that is colored by the seer and the seen, the mind understands everything. We know we have earlier also discussed about the seer as well as the colored mind. That's why edoma prapadyante, tadoma prajamyaham. That whatever you are wanting to be, you should decide. You should walk towards that path. You want to identify. The Vedanta is absolutely necessary in our life. Many people think that, oh, there is a phrase, oh, you're talking Vedanta, you are not yet no, grown up enough. Only in your old age, only you are supposed to be reaching or reading or understanding Vedanta and things like that. It's not like that. Vedanta is supposed to be understood from the day one of your life. That Veda, what is Veda? With Jnanam. What is Jnanam? Jnanam is not on a particular subject to read and write. Jnanam is that revelation. Jnanam is that the awakening or the revelation of the inner self of me, the inner self of Aham, the inner self of the highest consciousness. From that consciousness, all the knowledges can be provided. So you have to attain that the highest form of the knowledge. When we attain that highest form of knowledge, all this kashta, dukkha, sharira, presence of sharira, and the effect of sharira. Our kashta, dukkha is based on basically only on the sharira, on the base. Most of them, or 99% of them, are based on our attachment towards the body, physical body. Everything that we are doing is only for our sharira. Each and every activity of ours is meant only for sharira. When we are so much attached to this external sharira, well, we have to have attachment to sharira, I don't deny. But it should be kept in the lower percentage, and we should have attachment towards the development of mind. This is what Bhagavan says, that Maharishi says that your mind should be focused to the seer. The seer should have the color through which you are seeing. Is that what you'll be seen? Whatever you think in your mind only can be seen. Similarly, the Bhakti Marga has been identified. So in the Bhakti Marga, it is for people who are easily unable to understand or that do not want to spend time on understanding the Vedanta. For them, the Bhakti Marga they have chosen. That means even in the Bhakti Marga, you need the absolute concentration and absolute samarpana bhava is necessary. Samarpanam, when they identified, is that it is not that everything is same. It is not that. You must see this the similarities. I mean, not that each and everything, that animal and man and the tree and bird, everything is same. It is not that. What is same in all that is called samatya bhavana. Not all of them are same. It's not samatya bhavana. What is samatva in each, everything of them, in every one of them? What is samatva? What is equal? What is that factor which is common in each and everything? Is that is called the Brahman. This identification one has to reveal. This is absolutely necessary. Whether one feels it or not, it is immaterial. Well, today we are all enjoying the life of the Sharira, Bhautika Sharira. There are people who are suffering, people who are enjoying, people who are undergoing the process of struggling. Everything is going on. It's okay, fine. Then at least at this time, and each and every time, this Vedanta or the Vedas, Upanishads and the Shastras and the Gurus, they make us understand. They make us conscious. Look, fine, these are all necessary for you to execute your karmas and exhaust them. There is no doubt about it. But if you understand yourself, if you understand your Parabrahman in you, if you understand your Brahman in you, you will be higher consciousness in you. You will be in a position to guide yourself through with this Bhautika Jivan in a better way, in the right way. As we said, it's a brahmachari, the one who has educated himself. Patanam, we said. That means in the Vidya of the Brahmajnanam and the Vidya of the Upanishad, Vidya of the Vedanta, one who understands, he will be in a position to guide through or stride through, or glide through, or walk through, or comfortably go through the life very easily with understanding and with absolute balance. If we do not have that, we will be in a position to uh, get stuck with our own physical life and then end with this. And always we remember that as the Garuda Purana and other Puranas and other Shastras said that we will be taking our birth based on our thoughts and desires and attachments of this Janma at the fag end of our life, and also the expectations that we have. So all these have to be surrendered. Absolutely, Brahma Sakshatkaram have to be brought into the mind so that at least the life after this, after our Sharira is rejected, after our Sharira is exhausted, our mind is complete, our Atma is completely freed, we will be in a position to attain that Parabrahman at a point of time. The, the, the problem with us is that why are we not initiating ourselves in order to identify and understand this reality of the life? Is because we are unable to experience that Brahma Tattva, Brahma Jnanam, and experience of being with the Brahman. We are not in a position to understand or identify. Is why people are not trying to do that, but they do not realize. That's what the Mahagurus and the Vedanta teaches us, that people do not understand that each and every pleasure we are attaining through our execution of each and every small karma, each and every thought, each and every activity is a glimpse of that permanent happiness of the Brahman when we. If this pleasure or happiness, that what we have momentary, if it is continuous throughout our life, throughout in us, is called association with the Brahman. In order to make us understand only. Otherwise, the life is only struggle. Otherwise, the life is only one has to face problems one after another. We have to keep on trying. Is there any pleasure? Well, in between, we gain the pleasure when we gain certain attachments, attractions, or certain satisfaction from our experiencing or from attachments. We gain this pleasure, and this pleasure is just a small example for our association with the happiness of the association with the Brahman. If it is constant, if it is permanent, how we will attain that? This is why the Vedanta studies and association with the Vedic teachings and Vedic uh, association with Vedic studies are absolutely necessary. Turn your mind towards that tranquility. Turn your mind towards the absoluteness. Turn your mind towards that spirituality, at least some time of your life. All other life you are living, you have to attain that. You will be attaining it, and you are attaining it. You are attaining the physical pleasure at all times, no doubt. But some time of your life, at least some time of your for some day-to-day activities, keep aside so that the value of the brahmacharyatam. Brahmacharyatam is means that means you what you are learning and teach you. What you identify, gaining the knowledge is called brahmacharya. The brahmachari, achar, we know that. No? The one who does the charya, the one who does the serving of the Brahman is called brahmachari. Brahmachari in the sense, the identification. Identification is that education, educating yourself or training yourself to be that is called a brahmachari. So you become the brahmachari. You become the brahmachari in order to be whatever you are, whatever in the right sense you are. We are all bogged down with the thoughts and the emotions and the problems around us. The solutions, we keep on finding out solutions each and every day. And we sometimes we conclude we have found some solutions. Sometimes we say we did not find solutions. We are looking for solutions each and every day. We are looking for problems each and every day. We are looking for solutions from that each and every day. None of these are necessary. Neither there are problems nor there are solutions required. Whatever is there in the existence is there. That's all. The problems are also is our manifestation. Solutions are also our manifestations. Nothing happens. The existence is same. Nothing other than that. The others are all created, manifested by our mind because of our attachment towards the gunas, attachment to the bhautikada, ignorance, we call it. Vedantically, the word has been told as uh, ignorance. Okay. So this is the concluding part of this meditation and mantras. So I'm just concluding this book here. I think this is the 108th session, if I remember correct. So with this, we will be concluding this book. From next class onwards, we will take out some other uh, granth and start